John, you are a father, a family man, founder of the Encouraging Dads, a speaker, author, and a filmmaker. Again, thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Dude, again, I greatly appreciate you just having me on the show.
Yeah. Now, I watched the short video of your story on your website and then watched the 60-minute screener of your story, which is extremely powerful. I got very emotional watching that. But I'd love it for folks that don't know your story. If you could just share your story with us, man, that would be great.
Yeah, so, grew up, my dad committed suicide when I was 11.
Wow.
So just grew up with a single mom because I didn't have that dad there, just kind of got lost in everything that the world says a man should be, money, success, power, all that stuff. And so for about 30 years, I was just trying to find my way as a man and trying to understand what it meant to be a, quote unquote real man. And so it was about probably 9 years ago that God just kind of took me to this place of brokenness, man, and got my attention, and my life was just a wreck. And I had been introduced to this idea of a father wound, something a dad's done to us or said to us or didn't do to us or didn't say, like, I love you and I'm proud of you, those type of things. And I remember looking back at that moment on the golf course when that friend of mine was sharing it with me, and it was like this culmination of everything came together, and I was like, man, there's something to this issue, because I was just angry. I was so angry at everything, at God, at my father, at whatever. And so I was taking that out on other people, and that was coming out of my behavior in really bad and unhealthy ways. And so I found forgiveness from my dad. Eventually I found forgiveness for him, and it radically changed my life in every way.
Wow.
I was just that guy that thought it was all about making money, success, climbing the ladder, and it was all about, identity. It was all about how my identity was in all these things, these earthly and worldly things. Again, everything that the world tells you to be as a man. And so it was in that was my focus. So I would go make the money, and I expected my wife to do everything else, take care of the kids, cook, clean, all that stuff, not realizing that me being an engaged and involved father and husband was ultimately what I needed to be doing.
You're right. Gotcha. Now, obviously you said it was crazy impact internally on you, but how has sharing your story changed your life?
Dude, I'll tell you what, it's a humbling experience. Just God's opened the door for so much, and just for the opportunity. And as I, came to this place of transformation and finding forgiveness from my dad, and how it literally was changing every aspect of my life, it had lifted this burden of just anger and unforgiveness off my shoulders. Yeah. As I started to share my story with other guys, it was like every man had a story. Right. And, and so that was just seeing that in other people and being able to help in any way I could through my own story. It's been so cool, man. I tell people all the time, I'm just lucky to be on the bus God's driving.
Absolutely. I mean, and you made this film called The Father Effect, which really deep dives into, the effect that fathers have on their kids. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, man. Just me being a dad and really just start to remembering my life as a kid around my dad and my grandpa. But you interviewed people like John Eldredge and Dr. Meg Meeker. But what made you decide to ultimately make this film and then release it to the public?
Dude, it was one of those really God things, because I wasn't a filmmaker. Right. And as a man, I would rather sit and watch a video than read a book. That's just, sure. It's just the way I am. And so it was in that process. We were just really struggling to get the message out. And God had just impressed it upon me and said, man, you got to make a movie. And so I had a couple of guys just speak encouragement into me and said, okay, go learn this, 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 and this. And man, I was just off to the races. So we got very lucky in interviewing the John Eldredges of the world. And there's a lot of just great stories, powerful stories, life-changing stories of men and women in the film that were just ordinary people, and their stories were as powerful and sometimes more, than some of these best-selling authors and other people that we interviewed.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're the founder of Encouraging Dads, which is a group or community to create kind of this spot where stories and ideas can be shared between men to help build each other up as better husbands and better men. how is that going, and what made you decide to start encouraging dads?
So the Encouraging Dads actually came out of the Father Effect in the
Okay.
process of making that movie. As I was interviewing, we interviewed over 80 people, and I've talked to hundreds, since and before and after, and it was in those conversations, just dads seemed, beat up, didn't seem worthy enough, wasn't doing a good job, they thought, that type of thing. So I thought, man, there's got to be a way that we can come together as a group of just transparent, authentic, real guys and help each other, because the power is in the numbers of people, not me. I mean, I don't know it all. I'm still imperfect and flawed and jacked up,
Sure.
I'm still making mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
But in the process of making the movie, I learned a ton. And so we're just inviting a group of just guys that can help one another, encourage one another to be the dads that God created us to be.
Man, I love it, dude. And I was reading through that website, and you and Brian Gosley, if I'm saying his name correctly, you guys have this free ebook available. It's 5 Ways to Be a Better Dad. What are some of those ways that you guys list in that ebook there?
There's so much. We're looking at doing a whole nother book of just encouraging ways to help dads. And, whether it's just modeling, being aware of the way you love your wife on a daily basis and being intentional and purposeful in that, that's what your kids are paying attention to. So that standard, you're setting the standard as a man, husband, and father by which your daughter is going to measure every other man, husband, and father, and by which your son is going to measure himself as a man, husband, and father. So the intentionality of every morning, I do the best I can to get up and hug on my wife in front of my kids so that they see what that looks like, in just engaging with your kids, whether it's writing little notes that say, hey, man, I'm praying for you, I love you, sticking them in their lunchbox. I have 2 girls that are in college, and so I text them practically every day, just say, man, I'm praying for you. Yeah. I love you. Hope you have a great day. Just some real practical advice of things that we can do to be better dads.
So good. So good. I love it. Now, you do speaking, you do workshops. What's your plan for 2020, man? You got any big things going on in 2020?
You know what? We're really focused on this Encouraging Dads project, the community that we're creating and building. And so really that's the biggest thing. We're launching it in January.
Okay.
And that's really where my focus is right now. It's like, man, how do we reach as many dads as possible and engage them and serve them as a community in ultimately helping them become better and stronger fathers. So that's kind of the priority for 2020.
Perfect. Well, I got to ask one last question. I love to ask all my guests because I'm a music guy. But do you have a favorite band that you like to listen to, or is there a favorite type of music that you listen to?
Dude, I love all kinds of music. I have my middle daughter. We bonded when she was very young over music.
Okay.
And I mean, dude, I hate to admit this, but I've got on my iPod, whether it's Kenny G to AC/DC to Jeremy Camp to the old school rap, like Lakeside. I mean, and dude, it covers the gamut to country and western. I mean, you look on my iPod and you would be like, what is this guy thinking?
For sure. It was funny because I had this just random playlist playing on my iMusic the other day, and Striper came on, and I was like, oh man, I haven't listened to these guys forever, dude. So,
yeah, they're old school, baby.
For sure, man. Well, John, I also wanted to give you an opportunity to just really give a shout out to family or teammates or anything like that, and the camera's all yours, man.
Bro, you know what? I love to connect with men. And so any way that, on our social media, we've got @The Father Effect on Twitter, Facebook, we have The Father Effect, and of course we have the Encouraging Dads piece on all of those platforms. But man, it's all about connecting with real guys like yourself. That's what I love about what you're doing, bro. And I think we bonded over the phone before this, and It's just, man, you can see the humility in guys, and that's what it's all about. When those guys are willing to admit, man, I am messed up, but I'm doing the best I can to figure this thing out, and let's do it all together. That's ultimately what it's all about, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, John, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother.
Guys, thank you so much for hanging around. Really appreciate it. If you'd like to see more videos from Top Rated MMA and the Bearded Biz Show, please click the playlist and also hit subscribe to our channel. Become part of the Top Rated MMA and Bearded Biz community. We would really appreciate your support. Also, please leave a comment below. I will read and respond to all of them. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day.